Hello, Norma. I'm so happy that you're here because it's been the most amazing journey with you. I've really, really, really loved our time, and I've loved seeing how much you have transformed. So it's really great to have you joining me. Thank you.
I'm so happy to be here too, and I'm so grateful for the growth that I've had under your tutelage.
Oh, that's awesome. I'd love you to describe, because it has been a bit of a journey, and a very rapid journey. Can you just describe how you felt and how you were when you first came to me?
When I first stumbled upon you even before I got to talk to you, and to say I was in utter crisis is kind of putting it mildly. Everything was unraveling, and as you and I have talked about before, I opened my eyes to the situation I was in, and it was stunning to me. And your words, first on video, just finding you on your blogs, and then getting to speak to you in person, were incredibly insightful. And it's like you knew exactly what I was going through. So I knew that you were the teacher that was meant to help me through this phase.
No, that's amazing. And what did you have any? I think you did express the fact that you had a few reservations at first about coming and joining my program.
Yes, you're always like, it's funny because when I went into this period of self-discovery and self-help, what actually started it was a book about budgeting because my particular dysfunctional relationship, I was being abused financially amongst many other ways. And that was one of the first things. So yeah, so I was being, kind of cautious, but no, like I said, once I heard you speak, I knew that this was the program for me, and it's been extraordinary, the growth that I've had, and that I was the decisions I made, and the forward progress that I've had since meeting.
So how did it feel when you first started? Like, how quickly were those fears allayed, and were you finding, transformation sort of immediately?
It was just funny, it's like, it's the pencils on the table, and it's rolling. And once it falls off the table, it's like, wow, and that was sort of, the situation when I finally opened my eyes and saw that, I think we all know, deep in our hearts when we're in a dysfunctional situation, and we keep putting it on the back burner. And something about, finally hearing your words and like looking at my situation. It was when I first met you, I was being shut out, for a full week for something I had said, and, emotionally abused. And I finally saw that, good Lord, that's exactly what's happening. So, yeah. So yes, the transformation was I was ready at that point.
And what did you feel, because over the couple of months, what did you feel was the biggest thing you learned? Were there any sort of big aha moments, or what do you think was the biggest takeaway?
It's hard to say because there were so many, honestly. There really were. I mean, boundaries, I guess, were the big thing, understanding that my boundaries had just been plowed. But not only that, I had allowed them. And that was the big eye-opener too, that not just that this person came into my life and others before that I had allowed to plow through my boundaries, but one conversation with you, I realized that there's something about me that I permit this to happen. And I think that maybe was the most powerful thing, to really start going back and understanding why did I allow this situation, and why do I allow my boundaries to be plowed? What is it about my own self-esteem? And what is it about the little girl in me that was injured?
I do remember one of the big aha moments you had were when I was able to connect the dots between what was happening in your behavior and interactions and your relationships now, to connecting right back to the root cause of it in your childhood. And I remember I think it was even the first call we had, and you just went, how did you know that? Do you remember that?
Absolutely. Very vividly, I do. Because my first conversation with you, I was literally in crisis. My ex was, I finally had the strength to walk away, and he was on the side of the road, literally on the side of the road, like threatening, like he was going to do something terrible. And I was beside myself. And that's when, you know, I had time to call with you. It couldn't have been better. So not only did you coach me through that crisis, but then, you know, after you kind of calmed me down and I got it into perspective, right away you said, so let's talk about, you know, where this comes from. And I was like, wow, I almost fell off my seat. And you just knew that what the issues were. And I guess in the same way that when you're in this relationship and you kind of know something's wrong, but you don't want to admit it. And I guess it's the same way about, you know, your childhood, and you know that there was something was not quite right, but how you just keyed in on it. You just have extraordinary talent and that you have a gift for that.
Thank you. And you'd actually been going to therapy for a long time.
I had been, and no disrespect, you know, my therapist is wonderful, but I think I have said to you that in just a handful of calls that I've had with you, I have made more leaps and bounds than I did, and I'm going to say very nearly a decade of working with a therapist. Yeah.
Well, it's been so great for me too. It's been so rewarding for me to hear that and to know that that you know I had that connection with you. And I think it is because I've been there. I've been through it. I was you.
Yeah. I think that really helped, Vivian. Just not like you understood. You weren't just saying words out of a book or theory. You know, you had experienced it, not that I experienced the extent that you did, but physical and emotional, you know, and that's something that my own therapist helps me with, that, you know, even emotional abuse, you don't see the scars, you don't see the bruises, but they're still there. And so, yes, so you understood, and that's how I really connected with you.
So, I mean, the idea for me is that I don't want you to be in therapy for the rest of your life. I'd like you to not need me anymore. So do you feel, can you describe how you feel now compared to what you felt when we first met?
I'm a completely different person. I will say, you know, I'm sitting here in the condo that I bought, and I am living by myself, other than my dog who's creeping around over here. I'm living by myself seriously since I think for the first time in my life. And I'm not feeling like, oh my God, what do I do? I'm feeling like, I love this. I can't wait to come home at night. I can't wait to relax and read and do the things that I love to do. So I'm so comfortable with myself, Vivian, for the first time in my life. It's very powerful.
Wow. And honestly, you can see it. It just generates out of you this energy and this empowerment, which I absolutely love. So in what ways do you think it's really impacted your life?
I just, again, the boundaries thing was really big. That lesson and that concept of really just protecting and my core values and identifying them and protecting them. So that was really important to me. Understanding again why, why I had allowed myself to, you know, be in these situations that weren't good for me, and not settling. And that's something that, you know, you have helped me even recently as I start to think about dating again. And, you know, I really feel like I'm almost ready, but, you know, and you just remind me, don't settle, and I don't have to settle. And so it's the whole picture. Yeah,
that's brilliant. And you actually didn't settle. You went on a few dates and thought, red flags.
You remember, I know I happened to speak. Well, it was funny because I was in a situation that I was uncomfortable, and this person was violating my boundaries, and I kind of felt it. And I happened to be going through your module about that, and it could not have spoken to me more clearly. And I literally listened to the module. I turned it off, and I picked up the phone and I said, this is not acceptable to me. I don't want you showing up at my house unexpected. You know, I asserted my boundaries, and I felt so empowering.
and just whereas before you probably would have started changing your behavior
Absolutely.
to, to fit to them. Now you're like, well, is that good enough for me? I love that.
Absolutely. I am a people pleaser, and just recognizing why. Yes, I guess it's part of my personality, but it's also part of my, the hurts that I need to get to the root of.
Yeah, yeah. And I really do think that we did get to the root of a lot of it with you very, very quickly.
Yes.
And I'm really hoping that you don't need to continually go and have therapy because, the other thing you were saying was you were quite surprised that you didn't realize how that you had insecurities and you needed self-love and self-worth. You weren't aware of that. And a lot of people say that because we all think we're so strong, don't we?
Right. Yeah. So I guess I'm one of those people, and and between the modules and talking to you, and then the books you recommended, it's so extraordinary, the growth. But yes, I'm definitely one of those people that falls into the role of, like at work, I come across real confident, on the surface.
Yeah.
And in relationships, I've been a colossal failure because of my, that insecurity, and I'm not good enough. But even at work, there's that little nagging, like, oh, I'm not measuring up, and I'm really, really understanding that now. And finally, I'm like I'm ready to retire from my main job, and and that's big, because it was always like I have to keep accomplishing because maybe I'll get acceptance. And I'm like, no, I'm okay, I'm okay, and I'm ready to take care of myself.
Oh, I just love. Oh, I'm so happy. This is what I do this for. So wonderful. So how would you describe working with me and my working style, I guess?
It's
you
funny.
Can be
It's
honest
like,
here too. You can be honest.
I will be honest. And like I said, it was like, I just finding you on your blogs at the time when I was making the transition. And then when I got to speak to you the first time was literally when I was in crisis. I didn't even know what to do. I didn't know. And you like coached me through the next step. And then it just every time I speak to you, you just seem to like, you just understand me. I guess like you said, because you've been through it yourself. And I don't think other people really know unless you've been through a situation like this. So yes, so comfortable and wonderful. I love talking to you.
Yeah, I love talking to you as well. I've really enjoyed it. And also what's so great is a lot of people, you're probably roughly close to my age, and I'm sure you're younger, but think it's too late. They think it's too late. And I think you even felt that at one point, but now it's not.
Truly, you're right. I did feel that. I'm like, oh my God, at this, finally here I am, and I'm finally opening my eyes to things. And now I just feel like I'm starting the next chapter of my life, and I'm pumped about it.
I'll just ask you one final thing. It's a really big step, I know, for people to make the decision to take action, because it's quite scary. So what would you say to anyone who's unsure about taking that step and joining me in this program?
That's a tough one, Viv, because I was nearly 7 years of just inactivity, and just you feel it, and it's nagging. I would say if someone found you, then they're probably ready. And like you say, and they say when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I would just say to other people, your teacher is here, and take action, because your life will get a whole lot better. It's frightening. It's frightening because there's a comfort in the dysfunction, because it feels like home for many of us. So it's frightening to take that step, but with your guidance, I recommend to anybody to do it. Your life will be so much better.
That's a really good way of putting it. The dysfunction is home to us, and it really is. And we do go back to what's familiar, even if it's not helping us, because actually we run away from pain, and you think that by doing that, you're running away from pain, but really you're just terrified of going through the pain necessary to heal.
Exactly.
But once you, because I know it's not easy, we go through this program and you do have to face a lot of fears in yourself. But how did that process feel? Because you were then having to face that, confront it, and take those steps that is the thing that is scary and why people don't do it, and painful. But it's worth it, isn't it? Because then you come out to the light. You come out
Absolutely.
to the dark tunnel into the light. So can you describe that process?
Yeah, I think to me, I think it's just that it's like, it is so painful and it's tempting. And, you know, as I learned through, you know, your program and everything else, how, you know, it's, they want to hoover you back in, or you want to get back to that, just like we said, that the dysfunction is comfortable and it feels like home, even though it's painful. But when you realize that you've ripped that scab off, and if you go back, you're just going to form it and have to rip it off all over again. And so at some point you just have to say, no, I'm going to power through this. And then you don't have to feel that pain anymore. So yeah, so that's what kept, when I would waver, I would just be like, I don't want to go through all that again. I know that every tear that I cry is actually cleansing me and getting me to the finish line.
It's very powerful, isn't it? And it's a powerful thing to do it with someone who's got your back and with the group of other women, and because there were other women like you going through the same process and stuff. Yeah, well,
absolutely.
Well,
I remember.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I remember going through your thawing out module and, you know, sharing with everyone, because I felt it. Like I started to, you know, the funny thing is you start to get in touch with those feelings that were so, you bury them so long to put up with the dysfunction and the abuser. And I was jogging, because that's my thing. Sorry. So I jogged as my stress relief. And I saw this pond of ice, and it was thawing. And I just took a picture and I sent it out to everybody in the group, and I just said, thawing out, you know, and I knew everyone would understand what I was going through.
Oh, I love it. Not suppressing those painful emotions anymore, but letting them out, going through it. And actually, it's not, it's more scary, the thought of it, than the actual going through it, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah. It's, yeah, you're so terrified of the unknown.
You actually did say to me, why didn't I do this years ago? I wish I'd done it years ago. I wish I'd found you years ago.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly. And, you know, you try not to beat yourself up, like, what, you know, why, but when the time is right, it happens. And,
yeah. And you've got to be ready. I mean, and if you're not, that's fine, but you do have to be ready, and you are ready. And wow, it's been such an honor. I've really, honestly, I mean that from the bottom of my heart. I've really loved spending time with you. And that doesn't end, because you're now in my momentum group, and there's lots of big exciting things to come for that group too. And it's only going to grow the more people that go through this program. So thank you so much, Norma. It's been so lovely. Is there anything else you'd like to say to finish off?
just again, just to express my appreciation to you, Viv, and just to say, you know, I really feel that you're really talented, you're gifted, you understand people. And I think, yes, it's from your own experience, but I think you have, you know, an innate talent. And I want to say that please keep going with the new programs, because I'm looking for your guidance as I do navigate the dating world, and you know, just to kind of help me take my goals, and I'll look for your continued coaching.
Well, I can't wait to see where you're going to take this, because I know that you've already got big plans for your retirement and your reinvention of just seizing the day with your new life. So I can't wait. So make sure you do keep me posted on all that front too.
You bet.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Norma. It's been such a pleasure.
Likewise, Viv.